good. All right, before we start the regular program, we have said in previous meetings that we have a little bit of a pre-meeting with information, or what I call, tell me about that again, show me how to do that again. So we're going to take a quick thing. First off, information. Those of you who are Windows 8 people now, Windows 8.1 came out last fall, and you had to go to the store in order to get that update, or upgrade is what it was. And you can only go to the store if you have a Microsoft account, so that Microsoft can track what you're doing. Last month, or early this month, Windows 8.1 Update 1 came out as a regular update in your Windows Update. It was a rather large one, almost 800 megs. And it didn't say that it was Windows 8.1 Update 1. I don't know why Microsoft hiding it from us, but it did. Just so you know, future Windows 8.1 Update 2 will be coming out in September. And then the news you all have been wanting to hear is that Windows 9 comes out next April. So those of you who have moved up to 8, you can pay Microsoft some more money and move to 9 next April. So there's where things are. All of these updates are actually making Windows 8 work like it should with the people who use keyboards and mouse. Microsoft thought everybody would want to go to the tablet touchscreen, but they were wrong. So all of the updates that came in 8.1 and Update 1 are things to make the usual normal user happier. And finally, when Windows 9 comes out next April, it will be what Windows 8 should have been, which is Microsoft's pattern. Windows XP was what Me should have been. Windows 7 is what Vista should have been. Windows 9 will be what Windows 8 should have been. So that's what's coming up, so that you know there will be one more major update that you will get for free through the updating, but then there will be a new version of Windows next April that you'll have to pay for. At the same time, every 6 months there are new Linuxes that come out if you choose, and they're free, and you can get as many as you want, as often as you want, with no cost at all. Number 2 on my list of things that have come across my desk. Somebody said, you know, it's a little bit frustrating when we don't know what the program's going to be. Not everybody can go to the web board. Well, that's your own fault. That's number 3 on the list coming up. But I replied back to this person, well, did you happen to go up and click on the link right there that says meetings? Because if you click on that link that says meetings, and I missed it, there we go. There is the list of all the help desk SIGs. There was the whole information on the April meeting program. And there's the whole thing on May already. And that's been up since at least the 1st of the month. So I'm going, how can you tell me? Well, here's how. When you go to a website, a copy of that page is saved to your computer. The next time you tell your computer that you want to go to a particular website, your computer will check first to see if there's a copy on your computer and pull it up and show you. Because that's a lot faster than going out to the internet and finding that paper. The only problem is that copy is an exact copy of the last time you went there. So if somebody had gone to this meeting page before, let's say, March 1st, none of this stuff would have been on there. I don't know exact date, but I know that we have this since then. So when they come to this page, they see nothing about March. But they don't realize that that's because that's the stored page on your computer. So all they needed to do was to go up here and hit the refresh button. And when they hit the refresh button, now the computer goes out and gets a brand new copy. And voila, maybe they would now see all of the information. But I kind of took issue with this person because they said it's not there. And I've known it's been there since the beginning of March. Yeah, because it's April and May's. And the only reason June isn't on there is because the person who we're trying to get for the June won't respond back. He asked for a formal invite, and I sent him a nice formal invite, and he still hasn't gotten back. So it's there. So if you want to know what's going on, click meetings. In fact, we have it twice. There's another. It says main meetings. You click that and it takes you to the exact same page with all of that. Now, you can also go on the meetings page, and here's the Google Calendar. And this Google Calendar is pretty much filled with the repeating things for the next whole year or more, which includes every meeting, every help desk. It just may not have the topic for each meeting, but it's there. Second thing on the list, or I guess that's third. Somebody said, well, not everybody can go to the web board and find the information about maybe the meeting, or especially the bonus word for today. How many people knew the bonus word for today? All right, so you got an extra chance at door prizes. If you can't go to the web board, it's not my fault, it's not Mary Francis's fault. We need you to get there, and it's not a problem, because when you go to web board, and this isn't going to work right. Oh, yes, it does, because I haven't logged in here yet. You come to this spot to log in, and there's a button right there that says register.
Is that as sharp as you can make it? It's kind of...
I don't know. Here's the AV guy right there.
Is that as sharp as you can make that? Or is there too much light on it? It's kind of fuzzy.
It could be.
Well, it's sharp, it's just small.
It's small, so I'll make it bigger. And so you've got to come here and register. And we've mentioned this before. Today, I have a computer that will be on after the meeting. Anybody who wants to get registered that is having trouble, we'll have somebody here to help you get registered. And as soon as you're registered, either Jim or myself will click and say okay if we like you, or if we don't like you, we will say no. That's how it is. Jim and I get to do that.
And actually, the other day I went through all of them, and there was like 75 people.
Yeah, I left them all.
That was the only one I let in.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if anybody else tried to sign in or whatever.
So anyway, I'm not going to go into it, because once you accept, it gives you your information. We will have it up here, and you just give it a username, and then your email and stuff, and then we can let you in, and then you can get access to the web board for all the questions and stuff that we get posted, for all the information and whatever. Also, somewhere I saw it. Where do we put the cancellations? Oh, that's on the web board.
It's on the web board.
Yeah. Because there are people who only one person can really do the web itself. But the web board, other people can post. So on the web board, we have a section for cancellations and stuff, so that if you need to check before you come to something to make sure it's still, there is a place that whoever's in charge of that help desk, meeting, whatever, can post a last minute whatever. All right, so it's going to be there. Now, finishing up before I turn over to Ken's part. Another item that has come across the desk. Somebody said, I wanted to go and watch a meeting that I missed. I can't find it. And we've talked about this before, but I'm going to show everybody again because right here is a link to our general meeting and presentation. It's right on the first page inside a big red box. And so when you click on it, it takes you right to Everett's YouTube page. All right, didn't hit it again. There we go. Come on. There we go. And right here, if you're a glutton for punishment, you can click on that and listen to me last month or the month before. But there they are, right there. And Everett has posted the general meetings and the presentations for all the way back. There's the ones for March, there's February, there's January, there's December. There's no program December, it was our potluck. And there's back to October. So they're right there. And all you have to do is click on it. Well, there we go. And it starts playing. It can't be much simpler. Okay, so if you know of anybody who says, I can't find it, all you gotta do is come to our page. And there it is, and if you want to make it full screen, you can make it, full screen. But that's just part of the browser. If you can't run it, you're missing some kind of a plug-in, and usually your browser will tell you you need to install something to play the videos. But most computers nowadays, when you install it, just click and play. Pardon?
Especially on Linux.
What?
She said especially on
Your
Linux.
Indian plugins.
Oh yeah, because they came in, they run in, and this laptop I rebuilt it again. It's even though it's my 8, I didn't like Microsoft doing some time, so I redid it. And I don't think I've added it. That's just Firefox came with it, and just click on it and you play it. Any other questions on or comments about those items that we did before?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I've been on the website for a couple of months and I'm trying to teach myself to navigate around it, and I'm still having some trouble navigating around it. I'm not terribly computer savvy, but my wife is, and she's even having problems.
Really? Okay.
I don't know what the problem is exactly.
On the website or the web board?
Well, the whole website. It just doesn't seem that easy to navigate through. Yeah.
Well, on this one, on our website, we've got the links at the top that takes us to the different sections. The ones that you'd want mostly are the ones with meetings and the web board. There's no newsletter, so we don't have anybody that will do that. So if anybody, we need helpers. A few of us can't do everything, so we don't have a newsletter going out. Application forms, you wouldn't go to because Vicky's going to send them to you anyway. The web board, it does have a few, but there's a bar across the top that has a home button. So anytime you're anywhere and you need to get back to your home, just click that and it takes you back to the main screen where you have all of your categories for subjects for posting, things like that.
I'll give you an example.
Yes.
Last month I was trying to explain to her about the posting that Ken put on about the heart bleed issue.
Yes.
And I was trying to find it for her, and I couldn't find it, and I didn't know how to find it.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just go ahead and get me logged in because I haven't done it on this computer, so usually mine's are.
Is it active?
And for me, on my own laptop, I save forever, so I don't have to log in again. And we'll let it remember. Okay, so here's the web board, and there's a search box right there. H-E-A-R-T. B-E-A-T, was it, Ken?
Yes.
Bleed.
Oh,
Was it bleed?
Bleed.
both ways.
But at the time, I didn't know that's what it was called, so I didn't know what to look for.
Okay, well, what we had was that it was under you do it under general?
I would think it would be probably under the software section but not under the general section.
That's the problem.
Well, and the thing is, there's no way that we can, on this screen, list everything.
And I
But
understand that.
Yeah. What you do, Mary Frances will tell you, because what you do is you go up and under your name, it says, show me all of the runs I haven't read yet. And when you click on, there's the one that says I haven't read yet, but that means that there's somebody posted that I haven't read their post. And that will show you. But no, you are not going to find, if you heard from somebody that there was something on here about heartbeat or heartbleed, you use the search and type that in and it will find them for you. Ken?
And you could search by name also.
Oh, yeah.
If you knew I posted it.
Okay.
Ken. And here's all the postings that Ken has done. And if we scroll down, we'd probably find it because those are old ones that when he was our secretary posting it in. But yeah, but that's the thing. If you know, we have this search feature, so if you're looking for something, click in the search. But if you don't know, and then see right now, I get back home, I just hit home. You would have to know that which subject it was under. But as you can see, anytime there's new messages, you get notified right there. So that one, there's a new message there, and that's the only one that I haven't read. So that's a way to find new. Ken?
And if it was just in the last day or two, you may be able to click at the bottom of the page for the most recent post.
Yeah, down at the bottom, here we go, view the most recent posts. So we click that, and there's the most recent ones that have been posted. There's the one about the CenturyLink and the passwords for Wi-Fi. And so you can come backwards and you would be able to find all of the posts. Now you'd have to go through all the posts backwards, but then you would find what you need. And I was going to say, and David would probably be able to say the same thing because he uses a lot of web board forums and they work the same way.
Yeah. I was going to say also, everybody ought to just take a little time and look through the section titles to get familiar with all those titles, those section titles on the web board. So, and if the person who posted a particular topic has posted it in the most logical place, you've got an idea where to look. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And see, what I did when I set this all up was I tried to put a little paragraph to explain what goes inside of each of those areas to try to help. And once in a while, I've had to move somebody. Somebody posted something in a category, and I'm going, that's not the right one. So I move it to the most likely one. But we try to, and we're willing to do whatever we can to try to make the navigation easier, but within the limits of what the program. This is not our program. You know, we use a Word or a web forum program, but we can design it. So that's why I've got all these different categories and different subcategories. But there are limits to, you know, it's not our program to be able to have like an index or something like that. But that's good. So hopefully 3 places. Search box down at the bottom for all the recent ones. And then just get comfortable. I think David nailed it on there. When you first get on the web, come to the board and get comfortable with what these different areas are. Because we do have one for software and operating systems. And we decided to keep 2 separate ones. The operating system can mostly be on, you know, Windows operating system. And software can be on any software. Hardware for any questions on hardware. And then for those people, I threw in an Apple area. So you wouldn't have to look through everything if you're trying to find Apple stuff. Jim.
When I was deleting the 70-some people or whatever, I noticed our board was out of date as far as software, and I did update it to the newest version, 2.7 or whatever. So it should be more secure and should work. If you have trouble, let me know.
Yeah, somebody had posted that there was off a little bit, and I think part of it comes from...
The time was off because daylight savings time. I noticed that.
Yeah.
I had it checked for Eastern Standard Time, but I did not have it for the daylight savings time, and now I do. So I did change that.
And you can kind of mess it up yourself if you go in under your settings, if you find, and change the time, then it thinks you live somewhere else, so your time posted. David.
I don't know if this, I don't remember on this our particular web board, but on most web boards, when you first register, you'll see a screen where you have to specify the time zone that you're in. And if you don't set the right time zone, you'll get the incorrect time on your post.
I don't think ours is that way. I think ours is set for our time zone.
Yeah, but if we have somebody who doesn't live in Eastern, but it's a member, they would want to change it so the timestamp is right for them. Yeah, it's just like whenever you get a new computer, every computer that you buy is set for Pacific time because that's where Microsoft is. And you've got to change it to wherever you live because Microsoft says, I have no idea where you're going to live, so we're going to set it to my time. So if you don't do it, Vicki?
Some of these forums are online forums that are just general public forums. You might be registering on a forum that's based on a server in California. And so you've got to enter your time zone if you want to see the correct time for any post that you make. Otherwise, it's going to put you in a different time zone, and then the time that it shows on the form for your post will not be correct.
If you have other questions, you'll see up at the top there's a link for officers. On that page is a link to the officers that you can send specific questions. The SIG leaders usually have a link so you can email them. Please email your questions. Don't let it go long. We'll try to help you resolve issues and figure out something and find something for you or whatever. Ken.
So we're going to talk about cleaning your computer. Where would I set up, Everett?
For the camera?
Yeah. Just a minute. Okay. But I'm going to talk about the mechanical cleaning of it. And I grabbed one from the front that just came in on recycling as an example. It's
got fur dust bunnies in it.
It's a little furry. But recently I had one that is a family that had a cat, and their house is clean. I mean, I get down on the floor and mess with the cables or the router or whatever I need to do without any qualms. But the computer itself, I thought had filters in it, and it wasn't. It was just cat hair matted on it. All the gaps where air was being sucked in. And so if you have pets, cats or dogs, I think from what I've seen, cats may be worse. Their hair is finer and tends to mat a little tighter. But the problem is, if you can't get air to the inside, then it begins to bake itself. And I've got another computer I'm going to show you in a minute that actually has the result that can happen from overheating. Not to mention going so far as to start a fire, but they can just quit working. As soon as we get a camera set up, camera's right here. There it is. Yeah, I don't know. You can see a little bit of fur here. The lighting's not great, but you're looking at aluminum fins there, those vertical lines. And it's just like the radiator in your car, you know, they used to be bad about getting them full of bugs and you overheat and boil everything out. Well, this carries the heat away from your central processing unit. And if you plug them off very much at all, the airflow just doesn't go through and the heat builds up and can eventually cause a problem. Down here in this corner, you begin to see on the capacitors and in the bottom of the case, the components in here build up static charge. It's just part of the way the world works. And as the stuff begins to stick to it, then the heat can't transfer off the surfaces. So now, inside the computer, if you get in there with a vacuum cleaner hose or a air hose, compressed air hose, if you want to brush it a little bit, don't brush it hard, but you can use a paintbrush. Don't use a brush that is nylon or some man-made material. Make sure you buy a boar's hair brush or something like that, which is a natural hair brush. The man-made fibers will have static electricity on them, and you can actually transfer that charge from the brush onto the components and blow them out. And there's no explosion or anything, but it either degrades the electronics of it and you won't get good results, or it'll just ruin it and it'll shut it off. We had an incident here the other day. I was teaching up front over here at the teaching computer and just walked around normally and sat in the chair and then got back up. And I walked over and went to touch the keyboard and a spark jumped out of my fingers. And it reset the computer. It shut down and did a reboot. So static electricity is not something you want in your computer. Bob?
I used to work for Western Electric, and they had a big thing about touching any of the electrical components, because that will transfer static electricity and blow them up too.
Right.
You need to maybe at least grab a hold of the case with one hand and go in with the other to ground yourself.
That's exactly right. On the inside of this case, as Bob said, before you touch anything else, touch the metal, shine the silvery part of the case with a bare hand. That'll lead most of the charge off and should reduce the damaging effects of touching components. Use the brush that's not man-made, and keep in mind that dry air, like from a compressor or from a vacuum hose, moving through a plastic nozzle creates a heck of a static charge in the tens of thousands of volts. That's why janitorial vacuum hoses that they use in factories and such have a spiral wire in them. I've seen people nip that wire to be funny, and the electrician or the janitor's vacuuming along, and pretty soon he just jumps and starts cussing because he built up such a charge and then touched some discharge surface that it knocks the stuffings out of you. So dry air, moving dry air is a huge source for static electricity. David?
Well, a couple points. One, I was in connection with what Bob was just saying, that of course this issue of static electricity is worse in winter.
Yep.
When the air is dry and you walk across carpet. Everybody's experienced this, I'm sure. So it's obviously worse in winter. And also regarding what you're talking about, using the vacuum cleaner, do you yourself use a vacuum cleaner to clean out some of the dust in computers? Because the reason I'm asking this is because you've also just said that you've all commented about how air running through a vacuum hose can generate static electricity. And on one of the computing forums on which I participate, one of the moderators on there always says never use a vacuum cleaner because of the fact that it can generate static electricity.
Yeah.
So I'm just...
Yep.
So do you sometimes use a vacuum cleaner.
Yep, that would have been my next point. I brought in a small hand vacuum cleaner because when I'm here normally, I know the only thing we have is the air compressor up front. I have always been taught, and I have reasons for believing it, that a vacuum cleaner is better than compressed air, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The issue for me is that with a vacuum cleaner, I've got the plastic hose, and you're right, the plastic nozzle. If you don't have a specially made hose and nozzle, it won't bleed off the charge, and there is a problem. If I were to touch that vacuum hose to a part that is sensitive, I could zap it. However, that compressed air hose over there, what's that product?
Compressed air.
It's nylon, propylene, or something like that.
With one of the little canisters that you can buy.
Oh, no, the canister is a different thing altogether.
Okay.
Here we have the standard shop compressor, and it's got a hose that would cause the same issues. So then it becomes a difference between compression or vacuum. Carol?
I assume everybody but me knows, or everybody knows this, but I have a special attachment for a vacuum cleaner that has a cone that goes down into some little itty bitty
Yes.
things that.
Yeah, those bristles will be man-made. They are not natural hair.
Not all bristles. I think some of them are just
Crevice tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like
Yeah,
that.
and so they're actually even worse because there's a huge surface area to those bristles, and they would begin to get. One of my tasks that I used to handle in the physics department was a machine that was designed to create static charge buildup so that we could make the kids' hair stand on end and stuff when they touched the globe. One of the things we had to do was to keep those bristles clean that are like on the end of the hose. They're what actually to charge up off the rubber belt. So if it's not natural, if it's a synthetic brush, which almost certainly, plus it's mounted in plastic, so there's no way to bleed that back to ground. So I wouldn't recommend it myself. So we kind of fall back now to compressed or vacuum. The problem with compressed is if I have a partial plug in these vertical cooling fins, if they're partially plugged and I blow on it, which direction's that dust going? Is it coming out or going in? Going in. It's going in. And so you pray that it blows completely through. It may not. But if you vacuum, it'll pull some of it out of one side, and if it does, you don't get all of it, the other side you can go around and pull it back and get that side cleaned out. So in my opinion, and from other places I've worked, vacuum is the way to go. In a machine shop, you never use compressed air on fine machinery because you blow the shrapnel into the cracks and it causes damage. So there's several reasons I recommend the hose. On a power supply, you can see this one maybe. Yeah, that's it inside the box. Tammy?
Well, at the risk of sounding like a complete idiot, I
Yes.
just asked, is there a chance I'm going to suck something out?
Okay, let me come back to that in a second.
Okay.
All right, so we have air vents on the inside of the case for the power supply, and on the outside is a fan. Well, which one do I blow into if I'm using compressed air? If I blow from the outside in, then everything I blow loose goes into the other components. If I blow this kind of crap into the power supply, and if it doesn't get flushed through because it's not running, then I've got a real problem. So again, in my mind, this justifies using a vacuum and a hairbrush. Tammy, what did you ask again?
I said at the risk of sounding like a complete idiot, is there a chance I'm going to suck something out there?
Yes, okay. Most of the parts on here are latched. Your RAM chips are latched in. Most plugs are latched. So I don't think off the top of my head there's much chance of blowing anything loose.
You could suck jumpers out.
Yeah, you're correct, and maybe even blow a jumper out, but sucking a jumper out is more likely. Let me see, I don't think you'll be able to see it. Oh, there.
And Kid Ray said, what's a jumper?
That tiny green, about in the center right there, see that green
Okay.
structure? That actually will just pull right off, and there's usually 2 or 3 pins under them, and it's for resetting part of the system, usually. There's some resistance to it, so it's something to watch for. As you're working, you know, you have to kind of look things over.
Just don't get the end real close to anything then, right?
Yeah, right.
So I can see
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, if you use that brush, you're brushing up,
Right.
then fill that stuff up, and then it can pick it up.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be a good idea to like have the hose nozzle up against the case and brushing with the other hand and just let the hose nozzle get the airborne particles and pull it in?
That could be helpful, although they're plastic, so the electrons migrate really slowly up that tube, so there's going to be a charge at the end of it. But it would be helpful. Let's see. Oh, so if you can, if it's convenient, bring it in here, let us do it. We've done enough of them, we know what parts to watch go flying and where to get a replacement part if they do fly off. Internally. Now on the outside of it, you can come out here with a vacuum cleaner hose if you have one, and a brush, and you can reach in there and knock some of the dust off that fan blade and make that more efficient. Down here are some areas that you can clean up that way. Now if you give me a second. This is the front of the case, and a lot of times there will be a buildup around these front louvers and panels and stuff. It's mostly cosmetic to clean that up, but this part right here, this actually has airflow through parts of it that go inside, and if you block the front off, you can cause enough heat to build up to have a problem. So it's good to brush and vacuum anything that looks like a grill or a piece of Swiss cheese metal here on the front part. So clean that up. So cleaning the outside, I would recommend every 6 months, especially if you have pets. But that's all I need to say about this one. Any questions? Okay. Yes, Juanita?
Is it best to keep your computer up off the floor? Would that help?
Absolutely. If you can keep it up a couple of inches, it's helpful because especially if you've got carpet, the carpet fibers can only come up so high in the air as you walk through, and so it's helpful to keep it up away from where your foot traffic is. David?
Getting back to vacuum again, what type of vacuum device are you recommending, Kim? Another point here, would you use a home vacuum cleaner?
Right.
Personally, I do. I recommend it, and I do it. But I've got one of these little guys. Sue bought it to clean her steps off, and looked good to me. So, but it's just a standard deal, and you don't need a lot of vacuum especially if you knock it loose with a brush and stuff. But anything that you can get a vacuum hose onto should work fine.
Okay, so you're saying then that you're confident that doesn't generate the static electricity that you mentioned earlier from vacuum hoses?
No. Don't touch the interior with this. Yes. If that's not clear, I want it to be clear. You get down close, you can get within an inch or so. knock stuff loose with a brush and go around and get it stirred up, and this will pull it through,
Yeah.
usually.
Okay, so the key point is, do not touch the motherboard and other parts with the hose.
Absolutely correct.
If you had the side off of it and it was standing up, and you put the nozzle for the vacuum down on the tray in the bottom, there's no parts there. And if you were brushing with it, you could.
Yeah, that would be a real good technique, is have it sitting up, brush top down, and as it moves down, then you can catch the dust in the bottom and vacuum it from there. Vicki?
Mary Frances had a question.
Yep.
No, me.
Yes.
Can you take your little camera again and show me what's a motherboard?
Okay. The motherboard is the big, let me get my hands right here, is the big green shape in the bottom.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah. It's what holds most component, small parts.
I figured that's what it was.
Yeah.
Just like any other electronic.
Yes. Mary Frances?
Am I asking the same question that Dave is? I heard the part about not actually touching, but then if I had the little bristle attachment on my vacuum, wouldn't I be back to the don't use man-made bristle?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't recommend using the fitting that is for crevices or anything like that has any kind of bristle on the front, because that's where the static builds up the worst.
I like the part about bringing your computer in and asking.
However, we have a use at your own risk.
David's an expert. What do you got?
I would use a wrist strap
Yes.
to do the grounding, and then if I'm holding it close to the edge of the nozzle,
Absolutely.
I shouldn't have any problem with static.
Right. Dave says use a wrist strap, which we have bought for about $3 or $4, I think, online if you look around. I think over at Micro Center it may be $5 or $6. But these are specially built so that when you wrap them on your wrist, usually it's Velcro or something like that, they have a conductive wire or surface to the strap, and so anything you touch cut with your hand then conducts through the strap, and then that strap is clipped to the metal case of the device you're working on. And that way immediately the electrons just go right out through your skin, through the cable, and onto the box. Then everything that's in close proximity contact is all the same voltage, even though it may be thousands of volts above what the floor is. Everything you're touching is all the same, so there's no difference. There's no reason for it to discharge from one point to another. Ira?
You can't use your shop vac at home, a little small one?
You can. Don't touch the hose to any interior components.
Okay, just brush with a
natural hair
brush, and like he said, turn it up to where you're brushing down.
That's probably a good idea.
Brushing down, and then keep that, but it'll suck it right out. I know it will.
Yeah.
It's gonna.
Yeah.
Where do I get this wrist strap things?
Static discharge wrist strap. Search with that, and you'll find eBay.
Okay.
Micro Center has them. I'm not sure anybody in town
I
does.
think what Staples might have, don't they? Staple have them?
Not at the store.
Oh, they don't have it in store?
Would Radio Shack have them?
Radio Shack.
Maybe.
Yeah, they
Right?
I'm sure that they
Are they still open?
Barely, yeah.
Things go out in heat.
He's still open? Okay.
Laura?
So if you accidentally touch one of the parts with the plastic vacuum hose while you're wearing the wrist strap, that's protecting you, but is it protecting the actual components of the computer?
The wrist strap is to protect the components.
It's protecting the components?
Yeah, not me.
Not you?
No.
Okay.
No, in fact, I'm at more risk wearing it if there's any power turned on anywhere. Oh, first thing you do when you decide to clean your computer, unplug it. Sorry, good point. Unplug it. It's not enough to turn the switch off on the back. Unplug it.
What about, I don't think you really commented on using a compressed canister of...
Yeah. Probably nowadays you're okay. When they first came out, they just pumped any old air in them. They had particles and moisture in them. You have to trust that they're 99.99% dry so that you don't get condensation. There's several reasons not to use those. It's compressed and it blows stuff into crevices. And if those crevices happen to be your sockets, you're eventually going to break contact. So, yeah. They may be okay for quick things. On a keyboard, see, there's a difference. Your keyboards nowadays aren't open underneath, so you can't blow into most switches under them. That's where the big trouble used to be. You would blow the crumbs into the switch on open keyboards, and then when you pressed, you were pushing on cookie crumbs. So, but nowadays, if you wouldn't clean the keyboard with compressed air, I wouldn't complain about that.
Okay, good. That's what I use at home for keyboard.
Well, Ken,
Sir.
I use a battery operated vacuum.
Oh yeah, lower voltage.
Well, it's, it's isolated from the ground. When I'm holding onto it, it's connected to me. If I'm holding into the case, I'm connected to the case.
Yes, yes. Everett mentions that he's got a battery-operated vacuum, which is sufficient vacuum, and he holds on to the case with the other hand, and I'm out of habit doing that myself, but that keeps him and the vacuum cleaner relatively at the same charge level as the case, although I would want to look at the vacuum and see if it's plastic.
Well, it is, and if you had some way of keeping the nozzle at the same potential, drop some tin foil around and connect it to it with a wire. I mean, that'd be kind of a pain in the neck. But as long as you don't touch any components with it, it's just like, right. It's just like your situation there. Just don't touch the components.
Ken, my problem would be, okay, one hand is holding the battery-operated vacuum, one hand is holding the case, my third hand is using the brush. Wait a second, I don't have a third hand.
Wrist strap.
That's where the wrist strap is.
Yeah, but I get the wrist strap and go, boing!
But probably you don't need to clean inside more than once a year or so, unless you have that. Cleaning the exterior is the more important part because that lets most of the air get in or out of the case, and that's where it's good.
I got a question. I had Ken come out to my house one time and clean my unit. When he did, I've got mine in a compartment with a door, and I just keep the door open a little bit so it's got air going through there. And it hadn't been cleaned. I bought it in 2009, and that's only been about 2 years ago or something like that. He come out, and Ken says it's the cleanest thing I ever seen. There's hardly any dirt in my.
I mean, you've got a dog.
And I got a dog. And I got 2 parrots.
So keeping it.
What's that? Oh, I'm on the computer much.
You're talking about the parrot. The parrot. They don't get on the computer much.
Well, I don't let them in the room. They would be on the computer.
Hey, adult, I got here.
Okay.
Just focus. So you can probably hit the Zoom.
My fingers just. Yeah, that's what it was.
There we go.
Okay. All right. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. One thing that I found on this one when I was getting ready to clean it and send it off with somebody, you see the orange colored round circle next to the green object?
Yes.
But it should look like the thing towards the top of the screen next to it, the silver thing with a cross in it.
Oh,
What's happened here is it's a capacitor that has split and is very near end of life. It's about ready to fail, and it's leaked some goop out of it.
It has failed.
Which
Yeah.
one?
You're talking about the orange one?
Yes.
It's brown?
Yeah, kind of an orange brown.
Use your third hand and point at it.
Yeah. John? Somebody got a pencil or a pen?
How about a laser light?
Here, we got one right here.
Right there. See?
one brown piece up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it should look like the ones there with the looks like it's got white chalk on them. That's what it should look like.
So what did you do?
Right there.
That's the bad one.
You turn it into us.
There's the bad one. There's the good one. Okay, and that's something we look for is they'll change colors like that, or they'll just be, instead of being flat on top, they'll begin to dome up and be rounded.
And that was a what?
Capacitor. And having a weak one or some of them blown out, the computer will still work, but you may see a slowdown or problems with video or something like that. So this one, Jim tells me there's a guy in town that would change that for about $50. And whether it's worth it to you, you know, this machine's about 7 or 8 years old now. Do I want to spend $50 on that? I don't know. If it was mine, I don't know.
He would change all the capacitors.
Yeah, okay. So put a whole new set in.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
He would offer it to our members if we have any that we need done.
Okay.
Just to make sure, I don't know, maybe there's some people who still don't know exactly what a capacitor is. Can you show that?
Yeah.
The motherboard thing again, and just clearly
I'll try to get the camera down in there.
point out that there are many capacitors on the motherboard, and what they're just a little round cylinder things sticking up.
We lost it.
And now I turned it off. No, that's okay, so I have to keep that going mostly. Try to get a side view, I don't know.
My question is though that you said, yeah, but it's 7 or 8 years old. So what? If everything's good inside, what makes a difference how?
How long is everything going to be good inside?
Well, that's the question. If you change out all the capacitors, would it be good?
Well, but there's more than just capacitors.
Okay. See, that's what I don't, yeah.
Oh, it would be like, to me, I'd say, I got a car with an engine that is really old. Okay, I'll put new spark plugs in, but I still got a carburetor, I still got this, I still got that, I got headers, I got pistons, but I put new spark plugs in.
And that's all the comparison to capacitors as spark plugs?
Well, I'm just saying,
Because
there
I
are,
understand cars.
yeah, because there are multiple electronic parts on a motherboard. Capacitor is just one, and so you replace those, but then there are some other circuit things, and I'm an electronic person.
All these little round cylinder things sticking up are called capacitors.
Right.
Good, nice
Right.
call.
And so there's
You'd also have a lot of resistors
Yeah.
and IC chips.
Ooh, she's talking sweet.
What's she say?
IC thingies.
Oh.
IC chips.
That's like a pill.
Mine 2014.
Well, anyway, that's a capacitor. So, any more questions? Clean the outside with a vacuum and a non-man-made material brush. And clean the inside at your peril, or bring it here and we'll do it for you on a repair day.
Do the menu and try to bounce it off the screen.
That's the source one, I'm trying to search. Oh, we got to put a number in. Okay. I can go real quick through the other part, and Now that you've got the outside all cleaned, now you want to talk about getting your innards cleaned. And so we want to clean up and spruce up. One of the things that you can do easily is go to your hard drive, go to your My Computer, right-click, Properties, and get to the Disk Cleanup. And you can see right there down at the bottom, it says Disk Cleanup. And when you click on that, it will scan, and then it will list all of the stuff that you don't really need that's cluttering up your computer, maybe slowing it down, whatever. And I think this one actually goes 2 different lists. Yeah, and so you can go down through and select all the stuff that's chalking that up and making your computer slow down, and then click the button and clean it up. And that helps a lot because your computer leaves a lot of stuff behind. When you install a program, it leaves installation files that you don't need. When you do this, it leaves this around. So there's a lot of junk on your computer, and the more junk slows down your hard drive when you're trying to work. You can also help with your computer by getting rid of things in your browser, such as going through and getting rid of your cache and your history. All of that loads up. So you could go in and pick and choose. I went to Internet Explorer, which I don't use, and click the button for settings for the browser, and you get this list of all the things that you can get rid of to make your browser work faster and stuff like that.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Remember, I don't use Internet Explorer anymore.
Yeah.
But when I went back to check it, I had all them boxes in there unchecked, and I was wondering why my part on the Windows was going slow. I didn't have anything checked.
So it wasn't erasing stuff.
It was anything that wanted to come in could come in on it.
Well, this is just storage stuff.
Well, I had to check the boxes, all the boxes, and checked it again, and then I run a defrag, and then my computer started.
Okay, this has nothing to do with defrag.
Okay.
This is just your stored stuff, because, like I said, remember I just told you at the beginning, whenever you use a browser, it puts a copy of every web page that you go to on your computer, which makes it faster to bring that page back up. But it's also a lot for your computer to have to sort through and scan through, and takes up hard drive space.
John, should we have all those checked on the right-hand side?
It's up to you.
But how do we know?
Well, do you need to keep a history of your downloads?
As far as I'm concerned, no. But
Okay, check that. Do you need to keep, whenever you fill out forms, your computer will remember where it says first name, it'll remember Nancy. So the next time you just have to click there, and Nancy or Jim will come up. So some people get rid of that. Get rid of all your passwords. I don't have Internet Explorer, keep that anyway. Tracking. Some people don't want to lose their history. They want to be able to go back and find a website that they used to go to a long time ago. Well, okay, but it takes up space. You can do the same sort of thing with Firefox when you come here, because there's offline web content and stuff that it stores. And so you can go through and say keep stuff or get rid of all that cached stuff right there. This is where the little boys like to know about this, because they didn't realize that whenever they go to those bad websites, a copy goes to their computer. Mom and Dad can really check to see where they've been and what they've been viewing. So they like to find out about coming here and get rid of all the cache stuff. And the same thing for those people that use Chrome. Notice here the same thing, that we can get rid of stuff that you don't need. And cookies, those are kind of things that can build up, because of all the websites that you go put them on there. If you don't set that up, you're going to have this big, huge file system that will have all these cookies. So, you can clean up your browser. Now, for me, rather than have to do all those things individually, you can have a program like CCleaner, favoritely known as Crap Cleaner, but CCleaner. And in CCleaner, you can go through and say, okay, clean everything up. So you can see, or try to see on here, that this one's going to check Internet Explorer, Windows Explorer, and the Windows system for all the stuff that can be not needed and take up space in your computer, and you can get rid of it. And then if I click the next button, the next tab says Applications. So here it's going to take care of Firefox, Thunderbird, my email program, and Google Chrome. So one program, I can go in and say, clean everything and get it out of there. And so then when you run it, did I get that one right? Or are we gonna run it? Oh, I know what I did. When you go back, that was still on Windows. It had to scroll down. And so here under Applications, it knows what programs are on my computer that has stuff that isn't necessary. So I can go through here on some of the different programs I have and say, clean out everything. And so it doesn't. So I ran this on my computer, and this is on this laptop, and now, this laptop's not that old, and I don't use it that often because it's a Windows laptop. But you can see that it cleared up, or found, and it said it found 12,000 megabytes of junk. We're talking 12 gigs almost. There's a lot of junk on there. So it selected all of those, and then I can say clean it up, and it runs and cleans it up. Now, for those people who are a little bit more advantageous or adventurous, it can also go through and clean out your registry, because what we found out is that there's a lot of junk that Microsoft leaves around that they don't take up when you remove stuff. If you go to add and remove programs, it's not going to remove every bit of that program. It's only going to remove what it has to remove so the program doesn't really run. And so it leaves a lot of stuff. So the registry cleaner can go through and find all these things called orphans and missing things and things that have no connections to whatever, and I can have it clean that up. I can't remember how many. This doesn't tell the size, it just tells how many. Mary Frances.
But I'm not smart enough to use that.
Right, so you don't.
Okay.
You get somebody else to do it. Somebody who's brave enough. Now you'll notice, and somebody in here who's another CCleaner user, we've talked about this before, I never check fonts.
What is it?
Fonts.
Oh.
Because evidently there's a lot of extra junk in terms of fonts, and CCleaner will get rid of it. I go through and uncheck that, because years ago I did that with a check, and then he erased all my fonts. And all I had left was symbols on my screen. Luckily, I knew I could move my keyboard and click a line of squares. I knew what it said. So I knew I could click that, and then I could click this one here. I lucked out and was able to put the fonts back in. Other people said, oh, they have no problem with that. They just click that and it doesn't have any problem. I got burned once. I'm never going to get burned again. No matter who tells me. I don't care whether it's Jim or whether it's Ken. I got burned. I don't take off the fonts.
You keep that unchecked.
I keep that unchecked. Tammy.
Now for the regular clean, not the registry fix, but the regular clean, which the average like me could do. Am I okay to check mark everything it says?
Sure.
Default.
Yeah, it's default.
So I'm not going to erase something I might need?
No. This program will only list stuff that is not needed, and you can choose to. Let me go back. Let's see. Page up. If you can see, there are a couple things that it did not check there, and down there.
Because it didn't find anything?
No, it says it's not going to look for anything there. But you can add, if you knew, for example, that you didn't want something in there. Oh, for example, this says DNS cache. Now, somebody knows that has to do with your internet stuff, and it clutters up. So somebody who's real knowledgeable might say, oh, I want that cleared up. So they'll check that box.
That's what I'm saying. So if I check mark all those boxes, am I going to screw something up?
You're not going to check any boxes because they're already checked for you. The ones that are empty, if you knew for sure, oh, I don't want that, I can say, I don't want that.
Okay.
But if you go with the default there, and you can see, it's temporary internet files, your history, your cookies, your recent typed URLs, last download locations. These are all the same things that were on the other one.
I can say, am I not doing that in the other one?
Yeah, you'd have had pretty much the same stuff there.
They don't take out any passwords or anything like that?
No, it doesn't take out any passwords. It just takes out junk. It knows it. Crap Cleaner knows junk.
Well, that's what I'm
Linux do you use this?
I haven't run it for a while.
Well, somewhat. But Linux isn't as bad. There is some junk, but there's a way of cleaning up junk files too. Windows is notorious for leaving junk files. John?
Just one comment on...
Yes, please.
You say that CCleaner...
Yeah?
I think it's a free download, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Free. You know who I'm talking about, who's sitting up here. Free John. Okay, so then you can do that. Now, see, notice up here, this is the button for Cleaner. This is the one for Registry. So you don't go there if you don't want to. Then we also have in the same program, this is a great program, under Tools, there is the Add Remove programs. So you can use this one instead of going to Windows. It'll do a better job. And then there's some other options. But most people, that's what they do. They want to clean up all that junk. Like you saw, my computer, which hadn't been used much, had 12 gigs of junk stuff. All right. So there's what it did on my scan results and 12 gigs. Then I did the thing. A lot of this they're saying these are leftovers after the computer. I uninstalled something. It left stuff because it said, well, I don't have to take out that stuff, so I'm not going to take the time to clean up everything.
Yeah, actually, I think that's not all Microsoft's fault. It's up to the program developers to design the proper uninstaller that they build into the program. If they don't do that, their software is what leaves some of the limits behind when you uninstall. It isn't all Microsoft.
That's not all Microsoft, but using the Microsoft Add and Remove, which is what most people do, it doesn't do the best job. There's other programs that add and remove a lot better of stuff.
Remember one time when I had Norton, I wanted to get rid of Norton?
Yeah.
And I used that, I didn't use that, I used something else. But then I went back in the registry and there was Norton still stuck in the registry.
Yeah, it didn't have to take out the stuff in the registry because it won't run anymore. Okay, so that cleans up a lot of the next stuff. But another thing that you want to do is there's a lot of junk stuff hidden that's not just antivirus. There are spyware and all that stuff. So, you've got a couple of programs. We use Malwarebytes. We also use Super Anti-Spyware. We use, what's the old one, Jim? We just talked about that the other day. Yeah, the older program that we used to use a lot before we got Malwarebytes and Super Anti-Spyware. Yeah, Spybot, Search and Destroy, and then there's one more. So there's a number of programs out there, and what they do is they go in to clean. So I went and cleaned, and I said I want to do my C drive. I could do all my extra external hard drives if I wanted to, and it went through. And even though I'm running an antivirus program, it found a few more things. Tracking cookies aren't too bad, but they found 4 very serious things. And so I just use that, clean up, get rid of my stuff. Of course, to clean up your computer, each 6 months, go to your Add and Remove programs, look at that list and see, there's a program I've got installed, I haven't used it in 6 months. If you haven't used it in 6 months, you're probably not going to get rid of it, so it stopped taking up hard drive space. And the problem then is when you have a lot of programs that you add and remove, as Ira mentioned before, you've got this problem with what they call defrag. Because in the way the computer uses it, it just takes the first available space in line and puts part of your program. So you could have, think about a big shelves on your wall. You could have something up in this top corner, some more of it in this corner, some more of it here, 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 here. Now the computer knows where all the parts are. They keep track. But if you have to go here and here and here and here to put things together, that takes longer. So we went through and it happens whenever you remove, it leaves gaps, and so the computer just then fills those gaps. Defragging, put them all back in a nice, neat order. We used to do that a lot with XP. Once 7 came out, you don't have to do that. Oh, I'm sorry, jump ahead. Because it's set to do it. Also, you have a place that you can add to remove Windows features, not just the programs you did. And you might find out that they've installed features that you don't use, so, go clean them up. And your question is, how do I know what I don't need? Well, ask somebody. That's the easiest way. How do I learn stuff? I ask. So I know that there are some things I don't need, such as on this one. I don't need the tablet PC components. I don't have a tablet. So I don't need this because I don't hook up a tablet to the computer. And so there are some other things on here that you would find out you don't need. Now, with DistiFrag, in the old days, DistiFrag was fun because when you watched it, you had a grid with all these few cute colors and everything. Now, you don't get that anymore. Mainly is because in Windows 7, it does it on a regular basis automatically in the background. When I went to this computer to check, there was no hard drive or partition that was defragged or fragmented. Because you can see it does it every week. Now, with Windows 8, it's done every night.
That's good.
There is a whole new package deal. It checks for updates, checks this, checks it every night if you have a computer on. So now there's really no need in a Windows 7, because I didn't know this on Windows 7 until I went here and found out that, I'm sorry, this is Windows 8. But I did this on my Windows 7 computer. I copied it to my Windows 8. So in Windows 7, you don't need to do it because it does it weekly. And I can configure a schedule on that. All right, so those are a number of things that you can do on a periodic basis to clean up your stuff. Now, I will say that on the programs like the malware ones maybe, and on some of the CCleaner, you have to run it each user. Each user. Because what it does is when you're logged in, it checks all of your files and folders. So the way I tell people, it's just like when you have multiple kids at home. One kid cleaning up his room doesn't clean up every kid's room. They have to clean up their own rooms. So the same thing you would have to do here is go in and redo it. Now, if it's general stuff, then it cleans it up for everybody. But when you look at that, it looks at specifically, when you're logged in, it looks at your folders, your files. But it won't look at somebody else's folders and files, so you need to go in and them.
Do you have to do it on the administration side?
You can't. I just said you have to do it on each user.
Like Sherry and then me?
Yeah.
Because I'd have to run one on her side too.
Right, because it will get just her stuff that's in her folders that the other person will miss, because it's designed to look at your folders along with it. So if you do it first under you, it's only going to have to do a little bit under Sherry's because it won't find anything.
I'm always afraid to do it on her side because if I screw something up, buddy, I'll be in trouble.
Well, but it's looking for garbage and malware and stuff, and there's stuff on her computer that hopefully, because you have separate users.
Hey, Ira, first thing, back up.
Yeah.
Oh, back up? Well, her stuff's backed up. I did back up.
And speaking of that,
yeah, we got a backup.
Next month's program is on backup. Not doing this, not moonwalking, but backing up. And that's why we're going to raffle off 2 devices that is going to be perfect for you to use to do backups. So you'll have to come next month and bring all your friends and then have them not buy raffle tickets so you have better chance at it. But yes, number 1, back up. And if you're back up, you're fine. Okay, yep, Mary Frances.
I'm thinking of a super bonus word.
Back up?
Let that be a hint to you.
David?
Back to CCleaner for a minute.
Yes.
And using the registry cleaner part of it, anytime if anyone runs that, I'd suggest when CCleaner prompts you to back up the registry, go ahead and do that before you execute the cleaning. There's a step there of backing up the registry. So if something, anytime you do a registry thing, that can be a possibly this procedure.
Okay.
Because if you remove something, if something gets removed from the registry that is needed, which some registry cleaners sometimes do.
Yeah, there is a chance.
Then your computer may not run right, or may not even start. Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So CCleaner will prompt you to back up the registry before you proceed through the whole procedure, to the end of the procedure. So go ahead and do that backup before you run the cleaner.
And when you back up, put it in a place where you can get to it. Don't back it up on the computer, because if the computer won't start up, you're going to have to use Linux to get that back up to be able to fix it. But we can do that with Linux. We can fix Windows. Anything else before we get on to the tags and tickets and stuff? Don't forget, anybody who needs to get signed up for the web board, we've got a computer up here. We'll make sure you get signed up, and then we'll get you signed in. Anything else? Okay, flip on the lights so people can see the numbers then.
All right.